Hey unknowns, this is Where the Unknown, starting Wizard Eye. And I have a guest today.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Ryan.
Hey Ryan, what's up?
Hey, not a whole lot. Hey, happy to be here with you. Thanks.
Ah, you're welcome. So, he is debuting in Where the Unknowns. Um, yeah, so, are you familiar with what this is?
No, yeah, I'm not super aware. I know you're doing something related to movies, but that's really all I know. Feel free to tell me about it.
Well, the YouTube channel is basically about us trying to break the norm, like because everyone seems to be like doing um, like what society like the norm, and sometimes me and my friends like to be different, be ourselves. So sometimes in this broadcast, we like to talk about topics. But in my YouTube channel, WordPress setting, we like to talk about things that not a lot of people normally like to talk about. So I don't know if that
Awesome.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
sounds great. Let's do it.
All right. So today's topic we're going to talk about is movies, and I remember watching a video by Moist Critical where he was saying that movie nowadays are bombing at the movie theater. Like, for example, like Indiana Jones, the new one, or what was that movie called? Ruby Gilman, I think, the one with DreamWorks,
Yeah,
and like Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Flash. Like all these movies just keep like flopping. And I think only three exception really was like the Super Mario Brother movie, Barbie, and Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, um,
yeah, that's something I've also noticed. I don't know if you want to hop in right here, but I think one of the biggest reasons for that is I think COVID actually kind of killed the movie industry a little bit. It's pretty funny actually. Up until about 2 weeks ago, I hadn't been to the movies since before COVID happened. Um, I think part of that it has to do with it, where people are really only coming out for the big movies that get a lot of press, have huge ad budgets. I think that's what people are still coming out for. But I definitely agree. Like here in the United States, I'm really saying like a lot of people are just not going to the movies anymore.
yeah, I think it's also the convenience of streaming at home. Like, if one have like HBO Max or Peacock, they could just simply watch the movie. And it's weird because like back in the days, like in the '90s, it almost take a whole year before they hit like VHS, or in the 2000 like half a year like to DVD.
Yeah,
Nowadays you just wait a month and all of a sudden it's like available everywhere.
yeah, that's something I never really thought of. It. That's a good point. Though, was like, yeah, previously you would see like you buy a movie, rent a movie, and you'd see like in the previews on DVD, in September 2001, and that was like 6 months away still. That's something I never really thought of, but I think that the streaming probably is the biggest reason, like you said, why that's just kind of been killed. Yeah, it's a really good point you make there.
Yeah, because like I felt like this generation we're mostly connected to the internet, so it's kind of like more convenient as time goes on, and because also one would have to consider like spending money on gas, and also like finding parking. If let's say like that may take like maybe a total of $30-$40 in total just for the ride there. And if you're at home, all you have to do is pay a subscription monthly, and yeah, like it's more affordable.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I just went and saw the Barbie movie here. I'm in Michigan. I saw the Barbie movie a couple weeks ago. I went with my girlfriend. I think it was like 50 something bucks between both of us going there. Get a drink, some popcorn, and you're at $50 right there. So it makes sense. Like, a family of five, 4 or 5 people isn't going to be able to go to the movies every week and just go see whatever the newest movie is. Streaming, obviously you pay the $15 a month and then you watch whatever you want. So I can see why streaming would kind of be a big deterrent to the movie industry as it is now. I don't know what your take is on this as well, but the other thing I've noticed about the movie industry is they really just are hammering and doubling down on like a trilogy. Like I think Ant-Man, they're really trying to go deep into like the Marvel universe, or I can't remember, that might be DC actually. But they go deep into these universes and maybe give you movies that you're not really interested in. I mean, like take Star Wars for example. They've done how many side movies, and now they're 9 in the trilogy. Like it's yeah, kind of tough as a moviegoer to keep up with all of that.
Yeah, it is. I also feel like that there's not original, unique movies out there. It's always like sequels. And throughout the
Right.
history of cinema, sequels usually don't perform as well as the original. At least from like both like critic and sales. Like,
Yeah, I totally agree with that too, and I think like I
mhm.
guess you could take Oppenheimer right now. It's a movie that's very like new. No sequel. It's a standalone film. Compare that to even like the Barbie movie. It's like Barbie isn't a new concept at all. It's something that's been around forever. I'm sure they've had some sort of TV show or movie previously, and it's almost like a remake. I feel like that's the other part is that they're doing a lot of remakes where something like Oppenheimer is doing well and it's a standalone film. A lot of the ones you mentioned earlier were films that the films that had kind of bombed were all the ones that trilogies or part of a sequel of some sort, a remake, and yeah, I think it's just kind of where the culture of movies is. I don't know if that's what consumers really want, but it's definitely what the theaters are pushing.
Yeah. I think it's because they want to play it safe. Makes the most money, and they don't usually see new IPs as profitable because in the same time they had to make the investor happy. Like it's not like um, the company themselves is trying to like make themselves profitable. They also had to make other like partner studios and partner um, like investors happy.
Yeah, there's a lot more money riding on these films. I mean, that's a good point too. Where if you can put out a movie that is gonna bring in a couple $100 million. It might not be that huge movie like a Titanic or I'm trying to think of another just all time classic, but you get what I'm saying. Where if they can play it safe and you put out 10 movies a year that are going to make 200,000 or $200 million, compared to one movie that maybe makes 200, I, I see why they do that.
Yeah. I remember something that Moist Critical said is that ticket prices go up every time, and I was thinking about it. Like I know the Super Mario Brothers movie is like they made like $1 billion, but how much of that money is like inflated because ticket prices are like like almost like $20. Like I think where I brought my tickets, it was like $16, and it's just so
Right,
crazy. Cause I like what happened to $5? What happened to ten
right.
dollars? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes you think. Like, well, I guess it'd be more interesting to look at how many people actually purchase tickets, as opposed to just a straight dollars of revenue. That's a good point.
Have you ever collected like movie tickets? Like throughout your life, like.
When I was younger, not so much anymore. Like, I mean, I saw both Barbie and Oppenheimer in the last month, and I didn't collect those tickets. But yeah, like growing up, like I remember probably the first ticket I remember collecting was the Finding Nemo when that came out.
Mm.
I forget what year, but probably early 2000s. I went and saw Finding Nemo with my family. It's probably the first movie I remember going to see too, and I I gotta think the ticket price on that was $5 or $6 tops. It was back then probably that had to have been the max.
Hmm. I kind of wish I still collected when I was a kid because I don't have any of the movie ticket, but I started collecting like during high school, and I was like looking at some of these old ticket prices, and I remember seeing it being like $8, $10, and I'm like looking at the ticket prices now, like $16. I'm like, how? I mean, I know how and why, but it's like in my mind, it's like, how do we get to this point?
Right, just a huge increase. Yeah, that's true.
but
I think a lot of it has to do with like the cost of movies is just more expensive to make now. I mean, you got to pay the actors and actresses a lot more now. Like, it's a lot more extra expenses going into all this.
yeah. So, and I know most movie theaters don't usually make money from the tickets. It's actually from the food, and the food prices are just so high. It's like, why even bother buying food at the theater? It's like, I don't even buy popcorn or soda anymore, really, because I seen that last time a friend brought the combo, like, with the big cup, like the large size and the popcorn bucket. That was like almost $40, and that was just a movie we were watching. What was it called? Um, No Hard Feelings, and and I was like, the food at the theater is crazy. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I agree. The food prices, I think, have also gone up pretty significantly as well. The one thing I found pretty interesting, though, is a lot of the movie theaters I've been to recently, they all actually like serve alcohol, which growing up was something I never really saw. I'm not sure if that's where it is or how it is where you are, but yeah, all the theaters here in the United States are all serving alcohol now, it seems, which has obviously a huge revenue increase from as well.
I actually don't really pay attention to the food anymore, so I'm not aware if they do serve, but I do believe that. I mean, they gotta, like, if they're not getting customer to buy their food, what else is there? Well, alcohol, right? So,
Right. Yeah. I mean, they have to make their money somehow, and if less people are going to the shows, I obviously got to make that up on the back end with the food sales up. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting time though in the world of movies.
yeah. Growing up, like, how was it like going to the movie experience? Like, do you got like eventually bored, or is it just as exciting as before, or does it feel like a chore compared? Like, as kids, it felt magical, but as like when I get older, like an adult, I mean, it is fun to hang out with friends and all, but like if you're going by yourself, it's like, why bother? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So, like growing up when we went to the movies, obviously it was like with family or friends. Growing up, and that was always a good time. I think the way the world is now with TikTok and everyone's attention spans are pretty small. Going to the movie now, like a lot of times I almost fall asleep going to the movies. They can be a good movie even. It's just something that you know. This time I'm just like, oh, you know what, I'm kind of falling asleep watching this movie, and I'll either get up and leave early or somehow make it through to the end without falling asleep. But that experience has definitely changed too, especially like now that I'm to the age where I'm actually paying to go to the movies. Where growing up, like high schooler, you sneak in and go around to all the movies, watch like three different movies without paying, like or prior to that, even your parents paying. So I think the financial aspect of it too definitely kind of changes. Like, well, it's not not as great now that I'm paying so much money. That as we kind of spoke about earlier about how expensive they're getting now too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I wanted to go see the Indiana Jones movie, which I did, but I have zero people that was interested in seeing it. Like, zero. Like, I mean, like, I didn't want to go because like going to the movies by yourself is like, for me, it's like, why bother? Because I don't like to go to the movie by myself. Because like
Right.
all the like expensive like the travels, the like all that, like I mentioned before, and yeah, it's like usually like I do go see a movie by myself. Like the other time I remember was like the Planet of the Apes one. What was it? War for the Planet of the Apes. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, but like like going to the movie by yourself can feel awkward a little bit because sometimes you see like people coming in group, and here I am by myself, like going about to watch this movie. So, and I'm a big Indiana Jones
Yeah,
fan, and I know a lot of people kind of stop after the fourth one because it was like such a bad movie, but I truly think because I disagree with Moist Critical his opinion on the fifth one. I think the movie is good. Like I know he said this movie is just basically like a generic story, which is true, but it was exciting. I actually do recommend people don't let that fourth movie scare you, like, or scare anyone, like. But I understand,
right.
like,
Yeah.
uh huh,
See, for me, Indiana Jones, that's just like a set of movies I've never really started to watch,
mm-hmm,
and I think because of that, like that's why like the fourth and the fifth one, I had no interest in seeing just because it's something where I hadn't followed that for years. But I think that's could be what kind of the point we were talking about earlier, where some of these theaters are kind of missing out is like that younger generation can't really connect or really equate their lives at all to these older movies that are just getting remade or another sequel.
yeah, yeah, reboots. Yeah, there's a lot of them nowadays, and I sometimes feel like when I do watch these reboots, they don't capture the same magic as the original.
No, definitely not. Especially like I feel like the live action remake is now taking like a big stage as well, and yeah, that not something I just find interesting.
Yeah. Also, do you think like actors with controversy does affect movies? Like people wanted to go see that movie because I know my sister didn't want to see the Flash because of the actor was his controversy. What was his name? Sarah Miller. Uh, was his
Uh,
you know,
I'm not familiar with him, but yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that um, that's pretty accurate. I mean, people definitely do go and see movies just because of the actors or actresses and what's going on with them out like in the outside world. Take the guy who was the Pirates of the Caribbean actor. I can't remember his name right now, but
Johnny Depp.
what was that?
Johnny Depp.
Yeah, Johnny Depp. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, like the controversy he just had. I mean, he is now signing contracts with like I think it was like Dior for like some kind of cologne they do.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know his new movie he's supposed to be in. I forget what it's called, but I mean, I've definitely heard a lot of buzz about that. And the actress that was also in that lawsuit against him,
Yeah.
she was just offered some movie as well, and I saw like a lot of press about that as well. So I would definitely kind of equate that.
Yeah, I forgot her name, but yeah,
Viewers.
the one in the Aquaman movie. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Aquaman. That's right. Yeah, and I believe she was just like recast for something else related to that movie. So it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I definitely think like any controversy that they have, like no bad press can be, or no press can be bad press in that sense as far as movies go.
Yeah, because I know the actor for Shazam, which that's another movie that bombed. The actor Zachary Levi, I believe his name was, did like a tweet. It was like one of those anti-vaccine like no, he didn't did a tweet. It was somebody who wrote like, "Do you agree that the I forgot what vaccine is a real danger to the world?" And then he just wrote hardcore agreed with an emoji being upset, and that got a lot of people upset. And I don't think that was the reason why that movie bombed, but I could guarantee that affected some people' opinion on going.
Definitely, I think the politics might play a little bit more of a role of people not going to see them. I guess I didn't really consider that. I was thinking more of like the lawsuit that Johnny Depp was in. But yeah, I think actually when you bring up politics, I think if somebody's very openly like one way or the other as far as like their political leaning, that probably does affect it as well in a negative way as far as fans wanting to go out. Maybe they just don't like that stance or don't want to support that actor in that way. And in that case, I think yeah, you bring up a good point that there probably are less people going to see those movies.
Yeah. Then the question is, why bother with the actor? Because like sometimes these actors will find their ways in later movies. Like, why would they still hire these people if if it's affecting their their people going paying to see the movie, like, you know what I mean?
Right, and I think that just kind of I think talks like the current landscape of politics, as well as like the state of the theaters and like the companies making these movies. Like, yeah, they might have an actor that was in some controversy, but at the end of the day, if they think they can get a return on their investment, casting them, even if the movie does, let's say, $100 million instead of $500 million. I mean, if they can still make money, I guess I could see that. Well, we talk about movies bombing and flopping, but even when they don't do well, I can assume most of them are probably still making a little bit of money. So I would guess that that's probably why they're still cast as well.
Yeah, because like I do see, like, for me back then when The Rock was in the movie, I go see it no matter what, no matter what movie it is. I didn't see Black Adam, but to be honest, that movie felt too generic for me. Like, I remember Moist Critical did a video about how he was predicting every line in that movie, and yeah, it seems like every movie, and I think he called it superhero fatigue. Like, literally every superhero movie starting to sound the same, look the same, and Black Adam bombed too. So it was like, and it had The Rock, like one of the most paid actor of all time. Like,
right, yeah, and I think fans are probably just kind of worn out from seeing him as well, though. Like, I mean, he's been in so many movies where it's probably likely you could guess pretty much every line. I mean, because he's kind of always cast very a very similar role in pretty much every movie.
yeah, I remember Batista once said that The Rock doesn't play a character; he just play himself. And I had to think about it, and he's not wrong. But that's like the reason why I go see those movies, because it's The Rock. But yeah, I get what he's saying though. You know what I mean?
I don't know if maybe that's just fans are kind of worn out. Then it could probably be the biggest reason that his movies aren't so huge. I think Kevin Hart is very much the same way. Like, I mean, they're kind of two of the same. I know they've been in some movies together. Reminds me almost of Adam Sandler in a way too, where it's like, yeah, he's a legend, but those movies just don't hit the same as they used to.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, funny enough, these Adam Sandler movies, they have like literally the same cast of actors, like Kevin James, like in every movie. Yeah, like,
yeah, Kevin James in it. Yeah, I can picture the big guys' faces, but Rob Schneider is the other one.
Yeah.
Every one of his movies there, it's just all him and his friends. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same kind of thing as the Rock movies. How they just don't hit the same as they used to.
Yeah, it's like that. Like the first time, it's like any movie. Like the first time is like cool, unique, original. But if they keep doing the same formula or have sequels, it doesn't capture that magic. I feel like movies, if they're gonna do a sequel, it has to reinvent itself. Can't really play it safe. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, that's what we said too about sequels are just like these companies keep spinning out sequels every time. It's like, yeah, that's probably not what the viewers want.
Yeah, cause like, yeah, I love the Super Mario Brothers movie, but I don't want to see a sequel of it. I felt like it should be fine. What I want to see next is like maybe like something like Kirby or The Legend of Zelda. I know Sonic is getting a third movie, but like I would like to see other Sega IPs or other IPs out there. Like, I get it, they're so popular, but like, I mean, like, give something else a chance. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, 100%, and that's like we said too, is just these companies, they find something that works and they just keep on putting out movies under that IP until they've really ran it dry. So hopefully that does change, because like we've talked about, it does take away the magic of going to the movies and enjoying them.
Yeah, cause like I can't really be spending like all my money on just going to the movies. I used to do that a lot when I was like in high school and in college, but like nowadays it's like I work and I don't want to spend all my money like on just going to the movies. It's just like a movie. I know Moist Critical said this. A movie back then felt like a lifestyle, but nowadays like a good movie feel like an event. I don't know if that makes sense, but I was like, that's so true because like, every Friday night or Saturday night, I go out to the movies. Not every, but you know what I mean. Like, go out with
Yeah.
friends, have a good time. Nowadays, it had to be a movie that I'm like very interested to go see, like an event. You know what I mean? Like,
No, 100%. Yeah, it's hard to make a lifestyle with something when they've raised the ticket prices to $16 a ticket. Like, I mean, that's not the same. If what now I'm spending $100 a month on movie tickets. 1,200 bucks a year. Yeah, it makes sense not to have that be a lifestyle. It seems more that they're just trying to push profits and make every buck they can. Which if it works for them, it works for them. But that's probably at the disadvantage of the moviegoer.
yeah. Are you familiar with Moist Critical?
No, no. I mean, I know he's the YouTuber, correct?
Yeah, Penguin Zero. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yep. I've seen some of his stuff. Not too much relating to movies, though.
Cause he does like movie reviews called the Moist Meter. And he will like sometimes review movies, sometimes video games, and like he would like give his opinion, and I give this like in the meter like 10 out of or 10 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. And he did this one video talking about why every movie is flopping, and he does have a good point about like um at least his opinion and why movies is flopping. Everything what we mentioned before, and it's like in the same time, it's a little bit sad to see because like the world, with how we consume our entertainment is different compared back in the days. Because like in the 90s, there were no really any way to watch stuff on the internet without buffering like every 10 seconds or like yeah, because like I remember when I first watched YouTube and the internet, it was like super slow. Like sometimes it's like buffering like every 30 seconds, and I had to wait.
Right.
Nowadays, it's so
Yeah. I
quick.
think
You know?
something else we really didn't even touch on too is like nowadays you can torrent those movies for free. Like a lot of those, you just find them online on different torrenting sites and just steal them off the internet for free. So I think as people get better with technology and it gives them an opportunity to save some money and just download it or find a stream for it somewhere. I think that could also be why some of these movies seem to be flopping. Maybe they are actually getting a lot of views at home from people who aren't being measured by standard measurements.
Yeah. And I know not a lot of people talk about this, but like, yes, the future is streaming and everything, but why do they still do the whole movie theater like tradition? And that's because compared to like streaming where you just pay it like $10 a month or 15, whatever, but like the movie theater is one ticket, for one person, and it makes so much money if like it, like so much money, and it's like because like it pays for everyone, like all the backstage behind the scenes crew, and it doesn't even account for like putting in commercials, like advertising, like it pays like everything. That's why they want to like make more
Yeah,
profit. And
that's
sometimes when the
definitely
movie,
not.
sorry,
That makes sense because you can always too like a lot of these places like Disney for example. All Disney's movies ends up getting put on Disney Plus.
yeah,
So for them, it's just like another opportunity for revenue. Like, okay, great, we'll make this content that we have to make for our Disney Plus platform, but we'll just put it in a theater and people just go spend $300 million to go watch it. And then when we're done with milking the theaters for the money, we'll just go put it on our platform and go make more money off subscriptions from this movie. You know, so yeah, it's definitely something where I don't think the movies are going anywhere because it's still a great place to put out the content, at scale where everyone can see it, and then put it on your platform. And I'm assuming there's going to be some more consolidation as far as like the streaming services go.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some talks of like some of them buying out other ones. I know Apple's in talks to buy Disney Plus from Disney. So I mean, like there's a lot of different things that could happen with that. But I think even still, like the movies in the theaters, they'll still be around. Maybe less of them, but definitely still will be very impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, are you familiar with Phantom Events where they do like the special limited run screening? Like, sometimes they put.
I'm not. No. Nope.
Oh, okay. So it's like, let's say there's like a documentary, and you got like it's going to be like in theater for 2 weeks. So Phantom Event will like put it in theater for 2 weeks, and sometimes it will take a while to put it like some kind of streaming service. But they're pretty like I like that a little bit, though it does bring like the fear of missing out in the same time. But like I think that's also a good strategy in a way because then it kind of forced some people to go see it, but unless they're really patient. But like sometimes they put like anime like films and or like classic movies that barely have any DVD releases or Blu-ray releases, and yeah, like sometimes I go out of my way to see some of those anime films sometimes because like uh, it's going to be in theaters like a week or two or selected dates. So yeah, like I guess maybe if most movies play it that way, I think it might do a little better. But I could see a backlash on some people seeing that strategy. What's your thought?
So those movies they only play for like 2 weeks, and then they kind of have to wait to be distributed somewhere else.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. So I mean, I think that's a really good way to get people out to the movies to actually see it, like for absolutely there. Because if they don't, they're not gonna be able to see it for who knows how long. So I think it's a really good strategy. Definitely, like you said, adds the fear of missing out there for the moviegoer.
Yeah.
I bet though, like there's probably got to be some way. It's just interesting without knowing any movies that I've personally seen that've gone that route. I've got to imagine though, like it probably would be frustrating if you couldn't see that. Let's say you're on vacation, you can't go see that movie, or you have to work and can't see it in the 2 weeks it's being screened. Like, yeah, you're probably going to create a little bit of a rift between your customers and the people who enjoy your whatever movie that is or genre.
Yeah. Because I remember seeing, what was it? Mary and the Witch's Curse. It's like a anime movie, which I did enjoy watching, but I remember like the dates were so almost, in the time, was so almost inconvenient. And when I was looking for tickets, bearable tickets for in theaters, I had to go one that's like a little bit further than my than the usual movies theaters I go to, and it was almost bad seats. It was like literally almost to the front of the screen, but
Wow.
I mean, I guess it was my fault technically for not buying ticket earlier, but I didn't have the money during the time, and when I did, it's like all the good seats were taken, all the good places were taken. I mean, I get that little frustration, and I could totally understand if, let's say, big movies, like let's say Spider-Man, started to use that strategy. That would have been really, really stupid in the same time. But I can see people getting upset.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up a good point too. That something we haven't mentioned is what are your thoughts on people being able to just pick whatever seat they want, like when they buy their ticket now? 15, 20 years ago when you went to go see the movie, 10 years ago probably even, you couldn't pick your seat until like you went in the theater and you looked around and said, "Oh, I'll sit here." Nowadays, you just sit on your couch and you can pick exactly what seat you want. I kind of had that experience when I just went and saw the Barbie movie, where I was like, "Oh, I can sit right here in the middle, or I can pick a worse seat." Of course, I'm gonna pick the best seat. Um, I guess what are your thoughts on that?
At first, I hated it because it was those phantom events that I mentioned earlier. Because like sometimes all the good seats were taken, but then I guess you could say I got content with the practice because it just feels so normal nowadays. I'm still not a fan, to be honest, but in the same time, if I do pre-order tickets, at least I know I have seats, the good seats, ready for me to go. But I guess it would be a
Right.
bummer if you just brought tickets at the last second, or like you just walk into the door and didn't decide what movie to watch, and you just like meeny miny mo. Okay, I go see that one, and you look and pick and see like every good seats is
Right.
taken.
When I went and saw Oppenheimer a couple of days ago, actually, same thing happened. The only seats available were three of them, all the way on the right side of the very first row, and then there was like the third row back had like a couple seats in it, and neither were great seats, but by any means. But I think if I hadn't already seen the Barbie movie at that point, I probably would have just said, well, you know what, let's go see the Barbie movie instead because these seats are so bad. Um, and so I think that could discourage people potentially, but also at the same time, they have the VIP seats, which you pay premium for. So they probably is offsetting in that sense, but it's something that I've always kind of found interesting with the movies these days.
Oh man, I remember when I was ordering tickets at the at the theater. It was for the Batman, and we got the literal front row tickets. It was the most painful experience because we got to keep lifting our head, looking at the screen, and sometimes it like when I look, it doesn't even cover the entire screen. It's like I'm looking at one section of the movie, and then I have to move my head a little bit to see what's going on in the other side. So
Right.
yeah, it is awful.
Yeah.
And I get it. I get it with the whole picking the seats nowadays because like the whole convenience of like I guess that's what those convenience feed is for too. Like you're paying extra to clean those seats and extra for all the the time. Like I could pick this now, which I hate convenience fees, to be honest, because I felt like it's just extra money, just for extra money's sake. But yeah, like
Right. Yeah, the other thing I guess I was curious, do you watch movies like does it when you go to the theater, do you care if it's in like shot in IMAX, 70 millimeter, 35 millimeter? Does that matter to you when you're like making a decision?
used to. I'm not gonna lie, used to. Nowadays, not really. Like when it was like brand new, like yes, because it was so new. Even to the Disney Star Wars trilogy, yeah, to that point. But yeah, that was like the last time really that I really cared. So, because it's like I'm paying really extra for just to see it like with not sunglasses, but you know what I mean, those glasses. And
Yep.
it's to the point it's like too extra money, like too much money just to see a one time with. I mean, I like the experience a little bit, but like it's not all that as like the more I see it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, 100%. I remember like movies used to be really popular like in the 3D version. And like I feel like you don't see that very often anymore. I don't know if you've been to a 3D movie anytime recently, but it's probably been I'd say probably 10 or 15 years since I've seen a movie advertised in 3D.
Yeah. It's still there, but the show times are so less. Um, So I'm assuming because as time went on, they're not as profitable. So they probably just lessen the advertisement. And I guess it's like a niche audience now. So I'm assuming that's why. It's just my assumption. But yeah, it's still there, but nobody really cares. If that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, that's all I can kind of attribute that to as well. Is like people just aren't interested.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a commercial back in the day, like available in 3D and IMAX. Get your ticket today, or like those big IMAX. Like in the end of the trailer, like they're like heavily advertising the IMAX in big letters.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah. That very much used to be the way they did it.
Yeah, I think it was what was it? Superman Return. Like that was they really put that out there. Like IMAX, watch it.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. They very much backed away from that now, which I think is probably a good thing because I truthfully wasn't a huge fan of them to begin with.
yeah, like for me at first, but yeah, like cuz nowadays if you think about it, the ticket prices for these now is like triple. So like if it was like $15, it got to be like 30, 45. That's almost that's like almost like a gas trip to the movie theater. So
Right. Yeah. How far is there a theater close to you then?
um there is two of them. Yeah, there's two close theaters, but everything else is like so far away. Like it because like my friends sometimes don't want to go to the same movie theater all the time, and I get that because my friend Tony, he's not a guy like to go to the same place all the time. So like sometimes when me and Tony run, he like to run like in different parks or different street. It's never his like his mo. So sometimes when he was like, let's go to this movie theater, and it's like a 30-minute trip. It's like, yeah, sure. Uh,
Right. I see. I just had a very kind of interesting experience with the reason I asked, if you had malls around you is I was to like a newer theater recently when I went to see Barbie, and it was like a very nice new theater. One of the ones that serves alcohol, reclining seats. Very very nice theater by today's standards. And then I actually just went to see another movie when I went to see Oppenheimer. I went to a different movie theater that I had never actually been to, but it was a very old, like historic theater,
mm-hmm.
and very like the room was very small. I almost felt like I was in like someone's basement almost
Oh, really?
watching a movie, and I think that actually adds to the experience though, as being in a smaller. More kind of condensed. I think there was probably only 10 rows in this theater as well. So, but I thought that added a lot to the experience of the movie.
Yeah, I had two different experience like that. Well, not like the most theater, but like two unique experience. One of them was like Atlantic City, where I went with my family to see Pirate of the Caribbean, the fourth one, and it was definitely a different scenery, like almost like something like you see like in the opera. Like it was like so fancy. I can't believe my eyes. So that was an experience
Yeah.
I will never forget. And the other time was my brother wanted to go like to a different movie theater. So we literally went to a different state to go see Toy Story 4. And I never seen a movie theater where it was like a building, like multiple floors. I
Yeah.
we went I think to the third floor to go see that movie. That was a crazy experience, but it felt like a skyscraper a little bit because like I'm like looking down and I'm like whoa. It almost like going to the the theme parks or like with the bridge to the movie. That was crazy. I never really had that experience ever. But
Right. See, that's funny you say that because the theater I went to recently, the very small one, was like a very old theater.
mhm.
But there's another old theater I've been to. Probably this has been years now, but when I went to that theater, it was another old theater, kind of like how you're describing it, like huge. It was a 3-story one, had been renovated recently. They do concerts and stuff there now. I think it's like a very historical building, but they do concerts and the occasional movie still. And yeah, I thought that was an even better experience. that kind of brings you back to like the original, like when you go to the movies as a kid, and like you were saying earlier, the magic of seeing movies like at a young age like that. I still think I would have an experience if I went to a theater like that.
Yeah. Do you remember your first time going to the movies?
Yeah. I think as I said, the one I mentioned earlier actually is Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo,
Um,
yeah.
it was the one I saw at this theater that I was just mentioning. Actually, was it used to be like the main theater in my town where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And that I saw Finding Nemo there at this big historic theater, and that's like the earliest one I can remember. I might have seen one previous to that, but as the one that I remember was definitely Finding Nemo though.
I see, yeah. Mine was Star Wars Episode One, The Phantom Menace,
Oh
and
yeah, I get a lot of hate because that's actually one of my favorite Star Wars movies out of the series.
same here to be honest. And I like it how the way it's almost like a self-contained story. Like if it's like you don't need to like it doesn't leave a big cliffhanger compared to like the second one or even the original trilogy was the fifth one. Um, but yeah, I remember seeing that movie twice in theater as a kid. I believe it was like my
Yeah,
yeah. I believe
I'm
it was my
pretty
first and third.
sure.
Uh huh.
I don't think I saw that one. The first Star Wars I think I saw in theater was Attack of the Clones. And then I remember seeing Revenge of the Sith, the third one. Definitely remember that one. That was when it came out. I think the biggest movie of my lifetime at that point when it came out. Like that movie was huge when it came out.
Yeah, it was. I remember the Burger King toys. The
Yeah.
those like small chibi toys. Yeah, that was so cool. I wish they still do promotions like that, but
Yeah, they very much. I feel like changed how they do that. For movies at least, they don't really go to like the places like McDonald's or Burger King and have like their big kind of blowouts that they used to.
yeah, because I remember when a new movie comes out, it usually like those kid meals or like the Happy Meals. Yeah, they will have like these cool advertisements with with the movie with the toys. I remember the Simpson movie was the one with Krusty the Clown saying that go please buy his burger. He even had paper
Yeah,
bags as shoes, and here comes the Burger King King. Yeah, bringing like the Whopper, saying go eat here, and Krusty the Clown punched him, and then he punched, and
yeah. See,
that was
that was a
cool.
huge movie when it came out. I kind of forgot about that until you mentioned, but yeah, I remember that. I saw that in theaters as well. I remember the Spider Pig scene was like on every TV show, like as a an ad or like a trailer. But like on everything was that Spider Pig scene.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised they don't like milk the Spider Pig one in The Simpsons. Like the Spider Pig just once in a while make like a cameo appearance in a TV show. But yeah, that was big. That was like my favorite thing. Oh man, I miss those type of advertisement. I think that's also the problem. I think their advertisement is just too like not too generic, but it's just not as catchy as what it was before. Almost like they just don't want to spend the extra money on just grabbing people attention like that, like promotion, like toys or like special arena events. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would agree. That's advertising has changed. I think a lot of it has to do with social media. They can spend a lot less money to see more people if they just do it on social media.
That is so
So
true. Like you're
I think
literally
that's got to be why. Those ads, like TV ads, you pay a lot more than you would to run an advertisement on Facebook or Instagram.
yeah, you're like they're literally just not cutting costs, but like they're cutting like the I guess like the
The
partnership with
artistic approach of it is definitely diminished.
yeah. Oh man, it's so much has changed compared when I was like a kid, even when I was like a teenager, and even now it's
Yeah.
like I guess you could say there's literally an era of like how the movies were. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I agree with that completely, and it's I think plays into the big part of why movies are so much different than they used to be. And we have so many that just flop.
Yeah. Are you familiar with like those VHS that sometimes promote just movie trailers, like those blockbusters, like demos? Almost similar to the
Yes,
one like PlayStation did or Sega did with their games, like those demo collections. Ah man, that's what I'm telling you was cool, just to like at least grab one and just see what's coming up. Like that was one way to advertise it. I know it will not work,
it's so
obviously.
funny you say that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw my first one of those probably 3 weeks ago. Yeah, we were at someone's house, and they have a barn that they throw some parties in, and we're in his barn, and on this TV, I just keep seeing trailers. I'm like, what guys? What are you playing? It's just playing trailers. They're like, oh, it's actually just a VHS that has a bunch of trailers of blockbuster movies, and I was like, oh. This is the first I've ever heard of this. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, I miss those. I know it technically nowadays is you could just go to YouTube and just watch trailers like in a marathon like that, but that was always cool as a kid. And I know that would never happen again, but like I kind of wish they could at least do it one time, just have it like a little DVD out there like in Walmart. Hey guys, this is what's coming up soon. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean, part of it's just like the cost of actually putting DVDs out. I was just talking to somebody else about this. They had a DoorDash order, and somebody like their DoorDash driver put a mixtape, like their personal like music mixtape, in
Uh-huh.
the thing. And we were talking about, yeah, people don't really hand out mixtapes like that anymore because of the internet.
Mm.
I would argue probably the exact same for movies. Like, yeah, the reason we don't have those DVDs like that is easily distributed over the internet. So, I mean, that's just kind of the unintended consequences of today, though.
Yeah, cause like if you're doing those DVDs, first you had to buy empty DVDs. Found a factory that makes them, and then you had to do the artwork, and then you had to get like license approval, all that like mess. If you just post it simply to Facebook, you just take away all those headaches and save money.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, do you ever went to a blockbuster when you were younger, like rent movies and stuff, or not really?
That's a little bit before my time, so no, not really. By the time I was like really into watching movies, I think blockbusters are just starting to close. I remember Netflix mailing the DVDs though. That's like I guess my earliest memory of like renting a movie
Yeah.
was my friend. We used to think my friend was rich because he had Netflix delivered to his house, which is kind of funny. Like nowadays, like there's thousands of Netflix titles, and now it used to be you watch two things at a time.
I never got to experience that milling part. Um, yeah, I kind of wish I at least try it once though. But nah, I was mostly a guy that goes to Blockbuster and rent out movies. It was like kind of cheaper than actual owning like the VHS, but like it wasn't a
Right.
good experience, especially with video
Actually,
games. Uh huh.
to be honest, the one time I do remember going to Blockbuster was when they had just started like I think like just started to see some trouble in their business because they were selling like everything was for sale. Like more stuff was for sale than it was like for rent. Is how I remember it.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that was a always thing or just like kind of like the sign of the times when I went, but
I think it was.
that's like the one blockbuster thing I do remember.
Yeah, no, that was a time because I remember it wasn't always like that. Um, Eventually, it became like that because I know this because of the video games. Because I got a lot of rare video games because Blockbuster made that little like panic move. So I'm very happy to own like some rare Nintendo 64 games from
Oh
that.
wow!
Yeah, seriously. So, not trying to flex on that, but it's just definitely that was just Blockbuster being panicking. Like we gotta
Right,
make
trying to make
money.
any money they could at the time.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, because they have like exclusive video games that that was like only one could only rent it at Blockbuster, not like at a GameStop. Like one game, for example, was Clay Fighter Sculpture Cut, only available at Blockbuster. Or the other one was
Oh yeah, see,
Transformers.
I wish I would have been able to live in the era where when you could just rent a game from Blockbuster.
Yeah. Oh man, in a way, I felt like I was lucky. Like one of those um, because like who knows? Like I would never guess the games some of the games I own will end up being this super rare. You know what I mean? Like so.
Right. See, I never really got into the games too much. It was probably been the last couple of years that I've gotten into games like that.
I see. Yeah, so we basically would never get to see that type of experience again, honestly. I know Blockbuster is technically still around, just one.
I heard they have like one or two stores left. I don't know. Is that kind of the case?
No, it's just one, if I remember. Just one. And
Okay.
and I forgot where it was. But I remember seeing the episode with the angry video game nerd literally traveling like across the country just to go visit there. And it basically is what they remembered. Though it's not what I remembered. I guess maybe my experience with Blockbuster is a little different from theirs because they're much an older generation than I am. But I could see the nostalgia in that Blockbuster, with renting movies. But yeah, it's technically still around, just one store. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Yeah, because I have no idea where that would be. I think that's pretty interesting though. But
yeah,
managed to survive.
yeah, right. So one could literally say is like a indie store, or you know what I mean, like an independent. Though I do believe the name Blockbuster is owned by a bigger company. I don't remember. I got
Right. Yeah. You see, that's something I'm just never really being a part of the Blockbuster culture. I truthfully, I've never really pondered that at all.
Yeah. Any other memories you have within like movies, like going to the store or go to like anywhere? You know what I mean?
The one other one that I can remember is the grocery store where I grew up as a kid. They would have DVDs for rent. They were never new ones. They were always like movies that were like 2 or 3 years old, and you
Hmm.
could like come in and rent them. And that's really the only other memorable thing as far as movies or renting movies goes, that I can remember that we haven't talked about already. But my family would, once in a while, we would rent like a 2-year-old movie, and that this was like just before Netflix came out,
Mm-hmm.
like as a streaming service. But that's about it for me though.
I see. Yeah, I definitely remember buying some movies at supermarkets. Definitely. Definitely remember going to what was it, Tower Records, and buy like movies that I never seen before, and like ever. Like I guess there were independent films. I don't remember at the top of my head, but yeah, like sometimes I get to see like these unique movies that I never see anywhere else, like in these strange places. I don't know if that
Right.
makes
Yeah. No.
sense.
I can definitely attest to that. That's how it was at, at my local grocery store too. Actually.
Yeah. Uh,
So.
yeah. So I guess this should be I guess the end of the broadcast. Any final thought that you want to share?
No, I would just say that first of all, I appreciate you having me on. I'm glad I could talk on your podcast. We'll love to check it out once you post it. But no, I guess my final thought is really just that I think the movie industry, even though as put out some not great movies and some flops recently, I think like the Barbie and the Oppenheimer kind of sequel that's been going on for the last couple weeks here. I think it's going to revitalize the industry a little bit, and hopefully, get people back out to the movies.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to see that art died. The the experience of movie theaters. it's like, I guess in a way they mishandle the direction of movie theaters. I don't know if it's because of corporate or like they're just not catching up with the time. Because I felt like movie theater could evolve, but I felt like in the same time, it's a little grim just seeing these movie flop after flop. But that's the reality.
Right.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey man, I really appreciate it. It was nice getting to meet you, and then yeah, like I said, I'd love to check it out once you post this.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. All right,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right, guys. So if you guys enjoyed this broadcast, remember to hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and don't be afraid to hit that dislike if you don't like this video or whatever. Share, leave a comment, good or positive. Well, negative or I'm just watching my words now. I'm tired. So guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Remember to stay beautiful or stay ugly, depending how you like it. All right.
Exactly.
Yep. Remember, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Life is short. Though some people will argue life is long, but you get the point. Yeah, like just enjoy. Just enjoy everything. Really.
Enjoy whatever you enjoy.
Yep. All right. Bye.
See ya.